This week's episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you in part by refusing to put olives on food. Olives, it's not really food. Hello and welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get, from north to south, east to west, the only intercontinental podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues and the longest consecutively running podcast on the See You Next Tuesday podcast network. I am your host, Ted Burton. With me today, it's Tim the Handlebreaker.
How's it going?
Going pretty well. As you can tell by my face, I got a lot of sun yesterday, riding my motorcycle across Missouri, parts of northeastern Oklahoma, and the entire distance of Missouri. I took what is normally like a 5.5 hour car trip and turned it into a 10.5 hour motorcycle trip.
Nice.
But
nice.
now my motorcycle is in St. Louis, so I can enjoy riding it this summer now that the weather's nice.
It's been it's almost a year, I guess.
More than a year.
More than a year.
More than a year, yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because I didn't know, like by March of last year, I was doing shows out of town, and I was working so much that I had no time to do anything enjoyable. So of course, being me, I jumped straight into a 6-hour motorcycle trip that I had not done anything to prepare for.
Oh, of course.
Aside for planning the route.
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning, and I was in rough shape. My shoulders and hips were just it's like, holy shit.
It's amazing how just sitting on a vehicle for an extended period of time can make the body hurt. Even a car ride. Everyone does. You've been in a car for 3-4 hours and or more, and you make a stop and you do that stretch when you get out.
You want to tell you the worst part of that trip, Tim?
Yeah.
So I stopped. The first time I came up to St. Louis a couple of years ago, I was doing a show up here, and I was on my way, and I driving past Rolla, Missouri, and I look over and I see a Sirloin Stockade, and Tim and I went to Sirloin Stockade in Oklahoma.
I have seen that specific Sirloin Stockade. That was the one that said now on DoorDash.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I should stop there on the way back, and I never did. And then I moved up here, and I came up to interview, and I came up to look at houses, and then I moved up here, and I've been back and forth so many times.
Yeah.
And I just haven't stopped at that Sirloin Stockade, because once I get there, it's like an hour and 10 minutes to home. So why the fuck am I going to stop? I should just continue on. And I can eat at home. So this time, I'm riding the motorcycle, and I'm 40 minutes is basically the time that I'll ride for 40 minutes, and then I'll stop for about 15, ride for 40, stop for 15. And so I was like, when I'm putting that plan together before I left, before I even got on the airplane, I was like, oh, I'll stop at Sirloin Stockade finally. So I stop Sirloin Stockade. I get there about 8:05. They close at 8:30. So I'm already kind of pulling a sage, but I need a place to eat and sit down for half an hour. And
at least you're cognizant of it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they're like, we close at 8:30, but you can the dining room stays open until 8:45. We just stop.
Just bring me 5 steaks right now.
Right now, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll take the buffet. And so I get to my table, and the waitress comes by, and she's like, oh, brings me my drink, and I'm like, do I order my steaks with you? And she says, oh no, if you want steak, you have to order that at the counter separate from the $20 buffet that I just paid for. The $20 buffet that consisted of mac and cheese, fried chicken, meatloaf. It was a very small area of buffet to choose from. And I was just well, the whole fucking point is that it's you can order the steaks cooked, and that's the buffet. No, that's not the buffet anymore. You're paying $20 for access to all this shit food, and the steak is something that you order on top of it. And I was just like, well, fuck this place.
Yep.
The one we went to, we ordered the buffet, ordered a steak, and we had 4 or 5 steaks before we left. Of course, they were shitbox 3-inch wafer thin steaks, but they were still, steak.
It's still steak.
Yeah. That was by far the worst part of the trip. No, sorry. Well, I don't know. I'm torn. That's number two, probably. The worst part of the trip was I was less than an hour, I was about 45 minutes away, maybe 35 minutes away from
Mhm.
home. I'm like just getting into the periphery of St. Louis, and a semi truck passes me on the right. And so, and they get just past me, just where their airstream is starting to really buffet. So I'm
Uh-huh.
getting buffeted by this wind stream that's
Yeah.
shooting past me. And then they just kind of slow down while another semi passes me on the left.
Uh-huh.
And then they get side by side. I guess so they could like look and make eyes at one another and talk about how they're gonna have gay butt sex at the next fucking truck stop or something. They're gonna go into the showers and fuck like monkeys.
That's how Freddie told me they do it.
Yeah, and so both of those wind streams are merging like perfectly right in front of me, almost like
Yeah.
it's intentional. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm getting shaken all the shit, and so fortunately, then and this is the good part, right? So because of that, I'm like extra focused on not dying.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I'm glad I was extra focused on not dying because right about that time, someone in the left lane of oncoming traffic decides to flick a cigarette butt out their window. So I just see the glow of red and then it hits me in the fucking face.
Oh,
You
man.
can't see the dots on camera, but there's a couple of dots where the ashes hit me in the face and burnt me. On a motorcycle going 70 miles an hour. I'm sure that guy's going 70 miles an hour in the opposite direction. I'm not a physics, but I'm pretty sure I got hit in the face with a cigarette butt and I'm going 100 miles an hour. And it fucking hurt. Like
I
the
bet.
impact hurt, but then I felt it burn in and I was just like, ah! If I hadn't been like focused on not dying because of the semi trucks, that might have like just been I might have just been like, oh fuck, and then just been fucking
Yeah.
plastered on the side of the fucking highway because some dipshit smoker can't fucking God fucking forbid you stub out your fucking cigarette inside your own shitty St. Louis smoker's car. You fucking piece of shit.
Uh,
I was fucking furious. I
yeah.
I was coming up to my next stop, and I was just about. I had like 30 minutes, and instead of I was like, I'm just gonna stop for like 10 minutes and go to the bathroom. I ended up sitting in a parking lot of a gas station for 20 minutes, calming down before I got back and got home. I was so pissed off. Wanted to just spin around and figure out who that guy was and shoot him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deserves it.
Anyway, what about you, Tim? Have you been since the last time you were on? It's been quite a while.
It has been a little while. Yeah, I've been here and there doing some traveling, of course, for work. I did get to stay at the hotel that they shot part of
The Shining.
The Shining and Dumb and Dumber at.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that is that hotel.
Did you see the newspaper on the wall? Man
I
lands
did.
on the moon.
Yeah,
Did you,
yeah.
Did you
And I
say
couldn't
the
believe
thing?
it. I could not believe it. Man.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, that I there's this place is huge. This is so this place has its own convention center that is bigger than the convention center here in town. And that convention center at the hotel is minuscule compared to the rest of the hotel. Like that's how big this place is gargantuan. The room numbers have even on the third floor 4 digits. So there's triple digit numbers of rooms per floor.
Wow.
That's how big this place is. They have like a upscale steakhouse which had like an $80 ribeye that I was like, no, thank you. Which actually I'm glad I didn't go to because my boss did. He went there on like on a meeting with the client one night. He said he ordered like he got like the $40 salmon or whatever. And you know how like you go to any other steak restaurant, right? You order your steak and it comes with a salad and a drink and like a side or two. Yeah, this place you had to order everything else separately.
Yeah.
So your
That's
salmon,
actually
your
a little more
salmon
common
was
on the upscale
Really?
places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
so your salmon's $40, and you have to pay another $15 for the Brussels sprouts and another $20 for the French fries. And he said it wasn't even like, it was like it was like lesser than Outback on the level of steak restaurants.
Holy shit.
Not that Outback is terrible, but it's the like fast food of steak.
It is the fast food of steak. Yeah, I'd rather go to Texas Roadhouse or Logan's or Longhorn well before fucking Outback.
Yeah, and my boss said this was worse than that.
That's embarrassing.
Which goes on to what I was going to say is so the pricing. I went to the sports bar they had there, and they had this drink that on paper sounded good to me. Now it's going to sound terrible to Tab because we have different tastes, but it was an old fashioned with Angel's Envy bourbon that had been infused with peaches.
Okay.
And then peach simple syrup, and then bitters, right?
Peach bitters.
I don't recall if the bitters were peach bitters or not. I don't think they were, because then it would have been too peachy.
Yeah.
It's like a peach twist on an old fashioned. I was like, well, that sounds up my alley.
It's an incorrect twist on an old fashioned.
Yeah. No, it really was, because someone else I was with ordered an old fashioned with a regular old fashioned with regular Angel's Envy. And then when the drinks came, our drinks got swapped because they were very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start drinking mine. I'm like, that's a pretty good old fashioned. Not really peachy. And the other person was like, this is a bad old fashioned and tastes pretty fruity. And I was like, oh, and it's cloudy. And I was like, oh, our drinks got switched. And so I had to do the swap-a-roo. I had to take
Then
the
you
worst
did it
drink.
twice so that they'd. This still tastes terrible. Like, oh boy, that's really weird. Let me just.
No, the worst part was that it was a $17 drink,
That's insane.
and that was on the low end of their menu of anything that wasn't a regular beer. And even then, like, part of it is the price of living in the area. It's just higher, because I also went to a pho restaurant, and their drink menu was not dissimilar in price, like $15 to $20, special mixed drinks. They also had a cognac on their list that none of us got because none of us like cognac. But also, it was $300 a glass, and by glass I mean a pour of a pour.
What the fuck?
So if you wanted a double, it'd be $600.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
It must be like a $1,200, $1,400 bottle of that they bought wholesale.
Yes,
To be selling it for that price. Holy
Uh-huh.
shit! That's insane.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ask? Like, has anybody ever ordered that? Did that just get delivered by mistake?
I should have asked. Yeah.
Yeah, give me a $300 drink of cognac instead of giving me like literally anything else in this bar. Holy
A couple of
shit.
times.
Yeah. I wouldn't pay $300 for a drink of a scotch, but I would pay for a bottle of scotch that you get $300
Yeah.
pours.
That's much more
Even if I'm paying like $2,400 or something.
yeah, that's because at least you get to keep the bottle.
Yeah. And you can be like, I have this, several $1,000 bottle of scotch. Isn't this nice? You may have a little sip. As opposed to being like, yeah, I went to this bar one time. I had a $300 drink of cognac, and how was it?
Yeah.
It was fine.
I went to a local brewery here in town, and we were in there for like 5 minutes because the person I was with knew what they wanted because they go to that place often, and so I didn't really have time to browse. So I was like, "Oh, that sounds good. Let me get that 4-pack." It turned out to be a bourbon barrel aged peach cobbler a la mode seltzer.
Why would you waste a bourbon barrel on something so gay?
So I then had it, and the weird thing was it was thick. Like it was like soup thick, like leaving a very heavy residue on the glass on the inside.
Probably all that sugar.
Probably. It wasn't like it didn't taste very sweet. It actually drank more like a beer than I thought it would.
Mm.
Probably because of the mouthfeel, and it wasn't super carbonated.
What's the
finished
fucking point then? It's a seltzer. The whole fucking point is that it's super carbonated.
Yeah.
They fucked up at everything. It sounds like in this.
It was a journey. It was like this flavor, that flavor, this flavor, that flavor. What is going on? Yeah, it was a real odd thing.
It sounds very odd.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready to get in some issues?
I am.
What is your first issue this week?
Here's what I do get. Bliss. This is not a real do get. That's just there's not a good way of making it a don't get. But everyone knows the phrase "ignorance is bliss."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think being ignorant is a good thing.
What
But
about being
bliss,
ignorant?
Yeah. But bliss is, and back when we were doing the show, and it was just you and me, for years.
Yeah.
Right. I had to come up with. We had to like. Sometimes we really had to scrounge for issues, on a week where it was just like dead and we didn't do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that came from the news. And also, as I was doing the news every week, I had to, at the very least, I was weekly, doing, a dive on news. But even aside from that, I was, reading news fairly regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I know when it happened. It was the start of this year. When I started working more, and it seems like even when you don't have anything to do at work, like scrolling through the news to me is like a bad use of your time.
Mm-hmm.
You could be doing literally anything else.
Yeah.
I think like just sitting there staring into the void,
like David Putty on that flight back from Rome, just
yes, is more useful than like doom scrolling the news. And so I've replaced all my news scrolling with like things I'm actually interested in. Not even news of things I'm interested in, but just like, getting, my hobbies and other stuff. And I have not been happier in a long time.
yeah.
And I realized it because I was sitting at the lunch table, and there's 3 or 4 of my coworkers, all of whom are a good 10 to 15 years older than I am. They've got kids, they got large families, and they're the kind of people that the normal person who like watches the news falls asleep to the news at night, and the stuff that they talk about is just terrible. Because I'm sitting at the lunch table, and I've always, if I bring my lunch to work, I've always got my Kindle with me. My Kindle, oops, that's not my mic going on. Okay, either my Kindle or an actual book. Not to be antisocial, because I'm still there. I'm not eating in a corner, but like today, I had my book out and I got 2 pages worth of reading just because I'm sitting there talking to people. But they'll be on their phones and be like, "Oh, someone ran headfirst into a semi this morning."
Yeah. And that just sounds awful. Thank you for bringing that into my day.
Right? Like, 1, I didn't need to know that. 2, now that I know that, I still don't care. And 3, like, yeah, people crash into other things. Crashes happen. Car crashes happen. A lot of them happen very often because there's a lot of cars on the road. Is there more to this story? Was the driver of the car a Nigerian prince on his way to give someone some money? and it turns out that the guy who he hit in the semi truck was the guy he was giving the money to. But that guy was on the lam from the cops because he was smuggling in immigrants, which is why he needed the money. Like, is there anything more to that, or are you just gonna like, well, that sucks.
And then
Let's see what Trump's up to.
and and then when you're just kind of like non-phased by it, they're like, is Tim a monster? He doesn't care
Right,
about
right.
this stranger that I read about on the internet
Uh-huh.
that I didn't know about 35 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. On Friday out here there was supposed to be a gigantic storm, like end of the universe level storms. I'm getting emails from work about it.
I recall we had an inkling of that on Friday also.
Yeah, and you know, I have a rule basically. There's a law of weather that should be called. We need to coin it, but basically, anytime the weather people are like really ramp up a thing, will be a big nothing.
It's a nothing.
It's when it kind of sneaks up on them. That's when there's going to be a big problem. It's like without fail. They're like, there's going to be major thunderstorms, tornado storm. We're on a tornado storm alert. So like all this, we had a show going on. It was supposed to just be me, myself, and the assistant technical director. We were gonna and our crew. But then all these fucking front of house people show up to be like, well, just in case. And then getting on headset. Hey everybody, the National Weather Service just issued a tornado watch for our area. I'll keep you informed. Be ready to do yada yada yada. And then of course we hear it. The big thunderclap, and it's like, oh, and then we hear the rain on the roof. And then the rain on the roof stops, and by the time we left the theater, it had stopped raining.
Mm-hmm. That was the extent of it.
It was a big fucking nothing, and I was like,
yeah.
If I had no idea this was coming, or if I just had my vague checking of the little weather box that pops up on Google.
I don't even have a box. I have a line of text on my lock screen and a tiny, tiny bubble that is enough for a picture of the sun and or moon and 2 digits.
See, I'm brave. I Google the weather in my area, weather and city name, and then it pops up like a 5-day forecast, and it's like, today the rain, tomorrow rain, Wednesday sun. And
that's all I need, man.
You can there's a little curve that shows the temperature that high and the low, or you can look at rain, or you can look at wind.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm like, oh, is there going to be rain on this day? Let me click it. When is it going to rain? 6 p.m. All right, that's
fine. I'll be home.
Enough. But all this fucking focus and big emails having to go out about fucking nothing, And that is something that affects your life, right?
Yes.
Do I need to bring an umbrella today? Am I going to ride my motorcycle? Well, it's going to rain later. Do I really want to ride home in the rain? Not particularly.
Mm-hmm.
But people will obsess about shit that does not fucking matter to them. We got into this discussion in my glass class about what's going on in the news and this, and I was just like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about, because 10 years ago I decided that I don't care about the news anymore, and I just stopped watching it. And you know what? My life's only gotten better.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed, and nothing that's on the news affects my life. None of it.
Yeah.
Because they have to fill content. It's like all the YouTubers and the TikTok stars, and have you seen the videos of the Twitch thoughts melting down because they're like, my life is so hard. I have to get up in the morning, and then I have to post photos to Instagram.
I can
post
imagine
these things
it.
to TikToks and all this stuff, and they have to do all these things to create content to keep engagement, because nothing they're doing is actually interesting. Won't actually draw someone unless they're just doom scrolling their stuff. And it's like, that all just sounds exhausting. Like, you could just have a life. But they can't do it.
But also, guess what? If that's your job, that's your job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so those people melt down about the politics, and it's just like, none of it's going to ever, you'll never win the politics.
Nope.
And it'll never phase you. And so they have to create all that content to keep the eyes on them. So your news stations, they have to create content. Otherwise, I think if you somehow manage to make the world not watch the news for like 10 days,
Mm-hmm.
somehow you ban the news from happening, I think in 10 days you could reset 30% of the population into not caring about that stuff anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they make mountains out of molehills, and they're just like, Fox News will have a little news blurb at 2 p.m, and then it'll be like 30 seconds worth of news, and then the entire primetime news lineup will just be
Is about that.
we'll
30
each have
seconds.
a segment where commentators comment on the news that is now news because they created it, and it's just like none of this matters. I'd rather look at pictures of your nephew,
Yes.
right? Like, oh my sister just had a baby. Look at the baby. Look
Yeah.
how cute it is. Like, wow, at least that'll affect your life.
Yeah. Imagine if the news was just replaced with like pet videos.
Yeah, pictures of your dog.
Yeah, pictures of dogs. It's 9:30. It's time for the German Shepherd Hour. Here's
Welcome to
the
welcome to Corgi Chat.
here's
your
a
host,
crazy
Bob
little
Bailey.
dude. You won't imagine what happens when he doesn't get his treat. Here we go.
Yeah, because like at least that would
Like it's also like it's also vapid and like doesn't concern you, but at least instead of like giving you,
it creates joy.
it creates joy and not
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, you're never going to unless it's like but the thing is, if you manage to make the news people not show news and instead they're showing pet videos, then they quickly learn and they'd be like, "This is Ralph. Ralph has dog cancer," and it's like in the arms of they're like, "Oh no, Ralph has dog cancer. What can we do?" It's all Joe Biden's fault. Like, damn you, Joe Biden, give dog Ralph cancer. Like they would somehow turn it into into pure evil. That's what
course.
I mean. That's what Facebook and Instagram have all done. They've taken the purity, which is just like cute pictures of animals and videos of animals, and turned them into just vapid content houses where you see the same like 10 things that show your cat hates your fucking guts and wants to kill you. Content. Like, fuck off and die, please.
That's part of it too, which so I guess part of the time that I've spent replace that has been on like Instagram, but the way they curate that is
It's dog shit.
I would love to look into the insights because like occasionally it gives you stuff that is really geared towards you, but then like it'll give you something that you're not interested in and you're like, what is this? Instead of immediately scrolling past it, you're like, what is this? Like, I don't want this. And then you swipe and it's like, and it thinks like, oh, he spent a lot more time on that than we thought he would. Let's give him more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, or what happens to me a lot, right, is so I'll be like, you scroll through Instagram, and then someone comes up to talk to you,
Yep.
and you
yep.
inadvertently
and it's just
like,
looping.
You
It's
inadvertently
looping.
touch a thing while you're talking to them, and then you like set your phone down, and it's like,
Yeah.
man, he watched that TikTok of a woodworker cutting boards for 3.5 hours, and it's actually nothing.
Uh-huh.
And my Instagram feed was filled with all these fucking woodworker videos, and it was the accounts were all the same thing. It's like over 16,000 woodworking plans with step-by-step instructions, and it'll just be like a picture of a video of a guy like putting a door on or something.
Yeah.
And they all had the exact same little fucking icon of a red and yellow like dude with a hard hat or an animal with a hard hat, and it'd be like woodworker life, woodworking this, carpenter this, and I just been like wholesale. I really hope someday I have blocked everyone on Instagram except for the like 100 people that I follow.
Yeah.
You're either getting followed or you're getting blocked. Because so much of that shit is just trash, and it'll be like perverted into being news. Oh, this now needs to be news. We need to make this into news now.
Yeah.
Like, why? Fuck off and die. And like the pet videos, if you post a video of your dog,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, nice. But I don't really need to see every one of the planet's dogs, and I especially
No.
don't need to see the same video of like, look, my golden retriever loves running in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
I do want to see it when I type in golden retrievers, right?
Yeah.
But if it's my usual go-to stuff, like I'm a very simple man, right? Like there's like five things I want um, given to me in at any one time, and it's just like, why can't you? Like, I should be able to like hit like five tags and be like, this is all I want to see for the next hour, right?
Yeah.
I've got nothing to do for 30 minutes. Let me see these five tags.
The other side of the ignorance being bliss thing is like there'll be discussions on like other discords about what's going on in the Marvel universe or whatever, and I'm just like, this all sounds awful, and I do not fucking care.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another season of The Mandalorian. I can't wait. Who the fucking gives a shit? Like, there's so much information out there that I wish I just didn't know, and there's so much information that I've learned against my will. Like
That's the other part of it is with news, with anything, it's like you're forcing it on me. Like it doesn't, like it might seem trivial, or you might not know it, but yeah, you're forcing this knowledge onto me.
Yeah, and I would almost buy into a system, right, where like on, for instance, Instagram, when you follow an account, like I'm gonna go pop up a thing. Why are you following this account?
Yeah.
Like, I get all of this fucking Marvel garbage news. Midwest Marvel guy,
Ugh.
Steve's Marvel reviews, and it's just like guys being like, "Oh my, did you see this Easter egg in WandaVision?" Nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
But because I followed a cosplayer who does interesting 3D printing, and a lot of
Yes.
his work is Iron Man suits, it's like,
Uh-huh.
well, you must like the Iron Man suits. No,
The
I like
vagary of it. Yeah.
the cosplay and the 3D printing, and like his process of sanding and painting and building these things. I find that interesting. Show me more of that stuff. I would follow someone who's doing like Final Fantasy ones if they're using like a belt-fed 3D printer to make a gigantic sword out of one
Yeah.
3D printed part. That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yes, I like Star Trek. Do you know what I hate? Fucking new Star Trek.
Yeah. But we're never going to be able to get that granular.
No, because then they couldn't feed you any content.
No, yeah.
Like they can't. If you're like, oh yeah, I did look at these videos of of Transformer toys transforming because I liked those when I was cool when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I don't actually give a fuck about the Transformers.
No.
But if that pops up in my feed, it's like, oh, that's kind of, because the other thing that happens a lot in that is you'll get the same, like it'll be like, oh, you like stand-up comedy? Here's 11 women stand-up comics, none of which are funny.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like you watch one thing from a guy, and then every third post will be that guy.
It's
So I'm
his
like,
that guy again. Yep.
I hate that guy. Blocked.
Yeah.
And so they can't make the algorithm work the way that it should, because if it did, they would never be able to serve you any content. All of my ads for like the last,
Which is insane to think about,
yeah,
considering how much content there is.
yeah,
Think about, like, let's call it 100. Let's say let's say you could pick 100 content creators, not even like your friends and stuff. Just like you're talking about, like, I've got downtime. I'm gonna just do the endless scroll, right? If you could pick 100 content creators, like 50% of those would be like people that do like daily things, right? The grinders, and then like another 25% people that do it a couple times a week, and the last 25% people that just do it whenever they want, right? Imagine how much content there is. If only you can pick 100, imagine how much. I mean, it's got to be in the high hundreds of thousands of videos every day, right?
yeah.
And you can't give me what I want to see.
Yeah. No, instead I have to see stupid shit about how their laws banning drag queens and dressing in drag. Like that is not what those laws are for. That's a huge misconstruing of the facts, you lying fuck. And I don't care.
Yeah.
I That's the other thing. I wish there were. This is why it'd be great to live in the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
In theoretically, like if you live in a simulation and you had the ability to tweak the knobs, like you could just tweak the knobs. Like I never want to hear the word Trump ever again. I don't even care if it filters out like Trump card, trumped up charges,
Yeah. Yeah. Trumpets.
trumpets. Yeah,
No jazz. No more jazz.
You'll never hear a trumpet ever again. Like, yeah, I'll take that fucking bargain.
I'll take that. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to now turn the ska down to 0% also.
You still hear the song like when you hear the "Here's What I'll Get" theme. There's just no trumpets in it. The rest of the song is normal.
Is it the just the MIDI piano, the default MIDI piano?
But that would never happen. Like whatever metaverse thing, it will only be created to serve you the content you don't want. Like I can't tell you how many times have you seen this post from creators that you follow where it's like platform is like not helping creators because of all these reasons. So be sure to like and subscribe and touch the bell icon, and then like do the 2-factor authentication from the email that we send you, and then send this form signed in triplicate that's sent in, sent back, sent in again, lost, found, and then recycled in a bog for 3 months and recycled as firelighters.
Screw
so that
it.
you can actually get notified when our fucking channel posts shit. And
eventually they're just like, screw it, I have a Patreon now.
Yeah, and like that post gets posted all the time, and it's just like, I follow this person. Why am I not seeing the content? Why do I get hundreds of videos about Taylor Swift or like videos of fucking clothes commercials, but I can't see the direct post that someone I actually click the follow button on posted today.
Yes, that's the crazy part. Is like this happens this happens enough where it's weird. Where you'll like come across a video or of somebody be like, I haven't watched his videos in a long time. Has he just not been posting? And then you'll like, oh no, he's posted every day for the last 3 weeks. You've just not given me any of it.
Yeah. So they're fine with you being ignorant of that, but boy, can they not fucking jam the mainstream news shit down your fucking throat fast enough. Oh, look what happened in Ukraine. Look what happened in Ukraine. I don't fucking care. And then the opposite side of that is conservatives being like, look at how much more they're spending in Ukraine. Look how much more they're spending in Ukraine. You gonna fucking do anything about it? Shut the fuck up. Meanwhile, it's, and I don't understand I don't understand how you can care about that stuff that clearly makes you unhappy.
Yeah.
That's the most mind-boggling thing of those people.
That's why they call it doom scrolling.
Yes. Yes, because you just get trapped in these cycles of seeing nothing but stuff to make you miserable. And like, I just, that's what I truly don't understand, is that you're putting your time and effort into something that makes you, it's like when I play a video game and I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah. I put it down.
You put it down. But current events, people will just gobble and gobble and gobble for years. For years. They'll just shovel this shit into their face and then bitch and moan, and like their quality of life actively decreases. Like, you know what? You could be reading anything else. You know, Duolingo, they pop up that deal where it's like 15 minutes can teach you a language in a year. What does 15 minutes of social media get you? And it's like, yeah, you could go like learn Spanish on Duolingo. You could read, and you don't even have to read like the classics or something high-minded. Like,
No.
I read Star Trek books almost
read-
exclusively.
Yeah, read a web comic.
Yeah.
You know,
Something
something
about
that-
like one of your hobbies that you like, or an industry that you work in, or something that you find kind of neat.
That's the
Like-
news I want. Like you ever do that work related Google search? You know, you're like, man, I really there needs to be like this one thing that would really solve all the problems I'm having right now at work. You're like, I wonder if there's anything like that. And it's like 2 days ago news, like wonder item invented on sale tomorrow.
Unfortunately, 2 days ago was April Fool's, so that item does not actually exist. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But no, like we were building, like we had a meeting at work and we were trying to build a new, a very specific computer to do a very specific task, and so we also wanted it to be rack mounted, and we didn't want to just buy the $50,000 rack mount computer,
yeah,
right? Because it's very expensive, and we're like, we can just build one. Surely we can just buy a rack mount case and buy parts, but it took like at least half a day of us like we're just at the end we're just like if we could just like have this perfect thing. And then we went to lunch and someone's like just like held up their phone like in slow motion like, I got it, like found the perfect website we needed that was basically PC part picker, but specifically for rack mounted video gear. And it was because that's what we need.
Isn't that fucking frustrating? Like the algorithms that control our lives. You go into Google and you search for a thing, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're not going to show you anything that's actually related to what
absolutely
you're
not.
looking for. You look at, because like I was looking for a projector. I started trying to bid or get a bid for a projector for our theater so we can replace the one that we have now that is like very much starting to show that it's on its last legs. And I can go to Barco or Epson or one of the big houses and get a quote from them.
Yes.
But I'm sure there are other options out there. But my results are either like, oh, you need a $120,000 movie theater projector, or use this home theater mounted like short throw distance projector and create your TV on your wall. And it's like, no, I need a 20-ish thousand lumen projector that's laser and does 1080p.
Yeah.
And I should be able to put that into Google and have things pop up that are like, here's what you need. But instead I got to go like dig through manufacturer
forums
things
and
and then go find. And so I have to like contact the manufacturer and they hand me off to their like representative
local sales
from my
rep.
district.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just fucking sell your shit.
Yeah. I'll try to smuggle you out one of our Barcos.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
20,000 lumen.
Yeah.
Ish, somewhere in that area. 20,000 plus, really.
Sure. UDX.
Yeah.
UDX
And
series. That's what you want.
I think that's the one that I just put in a bid for.
Yeah,
I have
that's
to
what
look
you
it
want.
up. Yeah. And
UDM if you want to get a little smaller and not 4K.
Oh no, it was UDM was the one I was looking at.
Yeah,
because
that's
we
smaller
don't
little-
necessarily want 4K because you can
Yeah.
pay less and get a brighter projector. And really, we need brightness more than resolution.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about, fucking the show we did.
The
last week.
firmware on those can be a little iffy though. I will tell you from experience.
I'll fly you out and make you fix it.
Yeah, thank you.
The fucking show we did last week, like we're using our projector to basically they were like it was like credits before the act that they filmed them, like they filmed the group and they're like, I'm Tab and I'm Tim and I'm Tony and I'm Buck and I'm Chaco and here's what I don't get. And like we should actually do one of those. That would be pretty funny. Like a pre-roll video we can throw on. Set it. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're doing that. Making like an opening credits set to our theme music. How great would that be?
Only if it's literally just our heads photoshopped onto the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers intro.
Oh shit! That's a great idea. but then our music, because we would get
Sure,
thrown
sure.
off of
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah,
And that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but HWIDG.
yeah.
You got a project, Tim. You just
Yeah,
signed
great.
your ass up for it.
Yep.
Well, do you have anything more you want to talk about Bliss?
I mean, part of it is like, I think that people think that without ingesting the nonsense, they won't have any small talk to make.
Yeah,
But I
because they
think-
have no personality.
But I think that if that's the case, is then that you are not a interesting person, or not. You don't even have to be an interesting person. Just be a person.
Yeah.
That I mean, I guess interesting is a spectrum, but like I don't care if all you did is like, so how was your day? How was your day off?
Wouldn't you rather talk about what movie someone saw recently or what TV show they're watching, even if you haven't watched it,
Yes.
than whatever news cycle story is going
Yeah.
on about like, oh, did you hear about the school shooting in Nashville? Like, yeah, that sounds awful, but
Yeah.
we're not going to fucking talk about anything interesting to do with it. So why don't we talk about like, what's the last YouTube video you watched? Who's your favorite
Yeah.
YouTuber?
Yep.
Because at least then you might like. On the one hand, you might learn something interesting about them. On the other, you might find out about something you want to watch. Oh, you like a YouTuber that reviews movies that I haven't heard of? Let me go check them out. Click
Yeah,
clackety.
yeah.
Oh, I hate them. This guy thinks he's so fucking clever, having his show be in a fucking video store. And he's talking to people about old movies that came out decades ago on an outdated media. What a fucking loser!
Yeah.
What a fucking loser! Anyway, not just in generally speaking.
In general, yeah. A what if scenario, if anything.
Theoretically, if you were to speculate on.
But I find
type of
that I
YouTube
find
videos.
even that is fun. Like I talk to someone working, and they'll be like, "Yeah, you ever watch this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I tried to. It's not good." Like, "Oh, it's my favorite show." Like, yikes. But then,
This
like
person
that's
is
something you
down.
can talk about. Like, you can still like talk about how much, like, hey, you still watching that show? Is it still bad? You know.
My favorite show is it's The Walking Dead. Like, oh, okay,
Oh,
this person is retarded.
yeah. Let me suggest to you the source material, which is much better.
The source material of The Walking Dead. You know what that would be really great for? So you take those comics, right?
Mhm.
And you shred
Burn
them into
them.
little shreds, and you mix them with like the grease left over when you make meat,
Yeah.
and then you have really great fire starters.
I thought you were gonna. Okay, sure. I thought you were gonna say you could have really good vegetarian meat alternatives.
Vegetarian steak. I'm a vegetarian. All right, here's a block of grease that I poured out.
Yeah.
This is I can't eat this. This is
Sawdust
meat.
is sawdust and grease.
Yeah, here's a Crisco and sawdust that you get.
What is that thing that they make out of? What are those blocks they make out of sawdust called? You know what I'm talking about?
That are like for creating fire.
No, for like building. Like you can like compress sawdust into.
Oh, when you add glue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what MDF is basically.
Basically, but there's a term for it. Anyways.
Well, that brings us to the middle of our episode, which means that it's time for.
This episode is brought to you in part by the Ricada News Network. Definitely not fake news.
Well, Tim, did you bring any news today?
I did. Apparently, I don't know if you know this, but if you mix approximately 14% of sawdust with 86% ice by weight, you get pykrete, which is what I was thinking of.
You only know that because you play a lot of Pie Cross.
Yeah, actually, that is absolutely 100% true. But no, yeah. So because I read this the other day, they thought about making a ship out of pykrete in World War II. Which, if you think about it, like ice, like it's like making a ship out of ice. Didn't really, I don't know how that
Yeah.
would have worked out. Anyways, our first news story. For our first news story, it's some good news. Boys, we did it. We finally got him shut down. This place was a blight on all that was holy in the land of Dublin. The Virgin Mary Bar has shuttered its doors. Of course, the Virgin Mary was the only alcohol-free bar in Dublin.
Oh, that is fucking sacrilege right there.
Right? Apparently, they opened in May of 2019, specializing in alcohol-free cocktails.
They opened in May of 2019, and they managed to stay open through the scamdemic.
Uh-huh.
That's a fucking act of God right there.
Yeah. I don't like. Is this a funny drunk Irish joke? Yes. Is it B, also incredulous? Also yes. I don't. I've never heard of non-alcoholic bars in the U.S.
No, there are some in St. Louis.
I bet there are.
and I'm just like, why would you go there?
At
You could
that
just
point-
go just home and be there by yourself and not talk,
Yeah.
not ruin other people's good times.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think like so non-alcoholic cocktails.
Mocktails, that's what they like. to call
Mocktails.
them.
I've heard of. I've heard of mocktails before. I mean, I remember being in college and they it would be Cinco de Mayo and they'd give you a margarita, which was margarita mix in a splash of Sprite. But I'm trying to think of like, so in mixology, like you got your main spirit. And then you got like your sweeteners, and then your additional your additive spirits, right? You got your vermouths and your Camparis and all these other like when you take all of that away from the equation, like I understand like taking the main liquor out of the equation. I don't understand it, but I can envision it. But when you take all of the alcohol, including bitters, mind you, like Angostura bitters, 44% alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, what are you drinking?
Dr.
You're
Pepper.
drinking Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. And I remember finding out that there was non-alcoholic beer when I was a kid, and I was just like, what's the fucking
duels.
point? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah, because I drink beer for the taste.
Yeah, the whole mocktail thing, the whole like, it really just reeks of like you might be an alcoholic. Like I
That's
don't
the
want to
only-
drink anymore, but I still need to have my like weird mixed drink thing filled.
Those are
way
the only people I know that are big on mocktails.
Yeah, the way that like, oh, I chew gum because I'm trying to quit smoking.
smoking,
And I need
yeah.
to like get my oral fixation figured out.
Yes. Like just put an umbrella in your Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Or find or choose another brightly colored soda if that's what you're going for. If you're like, this is all brown. It's all brown. It's all, almost black brown. That doesn't look like a cocktail to me. Well, I can like get some orange soda.
Yeah, get some orange soda, do some ginger ale.
Yeah.
Throw an orange slice in a ginger ale and be like, oh, look, I'm drinking my delicious
Mocktail.
mocktail. Yeah, and to put one in Dublin, that's just
Of all
offensive.
places.
It'd be like having one in Bourbon County, Kentucky,
Yeah.
which I'm sure there is one now.
Oh.
Now that I think about it,
It's filled with that fake whiskey stuff we tried,
Shit.
which I saw at a liquor store the other day
At a liquor store, at a
On the
holy
bot-
place.
on the bottom shelf.
Was it in the whiskey section?
It was.
Son of a bitch! It should not be in the whiskey section. It should be in the pussy faggot section.
I will say
There should be
Hey.
saloon style doors.
Oh,
Yeah.
or a beaded curtain like in a like an old timey video store, the adult section.
There's a beaded curtain, right? But it like when you step through, it sprays a thing on the back of your head. That's a UV hairspray, and so when you walk underneath a UV light, it's like, oh, that guy went in the pussy fag section. Oh, no, or you when you open it up, like an alarm goes off. Oh no! And the whole store turns to look at you. Your picture comes on a big screen TV.
Yeah, yeah. What was? I'm trying to remember the name. It was. Is it 57? Is Kentucky 57?
Kentucky, yeah,
Something like that. Yeah, that's I
I
remember
still have
seeing
it
I was like,
upstairs.
oh.
That shit was awful.
Yeah. Well, we've got another news story here. Speaking of literally everything we talked about not wanting to hear about in the last 30 minutes, Nammo, which is an ammo manufacturer co-owned by the Norwegian government and a Finnish state-controlled defense company, cannot meet the increasing demand for its artillery rounds because a local data center is using all of the electricity in the region, preventing a planned expansion of their factory. That data center's number one customer,
Facebook.
TikTok.
Son of a bitch.
The chief executive of the company told the Financial Times, quote, "We are concerned because we see our future growth is challenged by the storage of cat videos."
That's not what's on TikTok.
No. I guess actually it is, just not the kind of cat video you're thinking of. Yeah, I like that. Not to get too much into it, but there was the bill that they did the whole China spying on us TikTok thing, and I think it's a psyop. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, I think everything that comes from the government anymore is a psyop.
Sure, but the worst part I had thinking about this was every time someone brought it up, I would say, what are they like? You don't think Chinese citizens are using U.S. apps?
Yeah,
I mean, they're not, because they live in a totalitarian government that doesn't let them use it. But B, like, you don't think they would be using like American-made apps that are spying on them? Of course they would be.
that's what all Facebook does is spy on you.
We have a humongous, the CIA. We have like every half the action movies you go see in any given year are about a spy agency employee.
Yeah,
About an FBI agent or a CIA agent or an NSA agent or a MI7 agent. Like spy warfare has been it's like since the 60s and 70s, spy warfare has been like the main, and espionage has been the main form of warfare.
you know what
in the
I
world.
think it is? I think it's that TikTok won't play ball with the U.S. government and give the data over.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Then why?
YouTube,
Then
all those other ones, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
government, you can have fucking anything you want out of our data.
So
storage.
why
We
do
don't
they
give a
care?
shit." Yeah,
We
well,
have-
they care because TikTok's not giving them their cut.
Sure,
If
sure.
this was really about privacy and spying and shit, they would pass what I believe they should, which is a Right to Privacy Act, which protects people from the data harvesting that goes on.
No
from
matter
these
the app.
fucking tech companies. Yeah.
yeah.
But they won't do that because those tech companies have big
No.
money that they give to all these fucking dipshit boomer, congressmen to get them and have a congressional hearings about TikTok,
Yeah.
and ask stupid questions like,
That's
is TikTok using Wi-Fi? Did
That's-
you see that
I
question?
did, and
And the
it
guy's
happens.
like-
It happens every time there's like some sort of tech hearing in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You get to really see who these people are.
Yeah. Does TikTok access your Wi-Fi?
God.
Does TikTok access your Wi-Fi? Answer the questions. They're like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how the fucking internet works.
Yeah. Aha! Like they really think they're
You're stealing all my goddamn Wi-Fi, and that's why the
Uh-huh.
internet don't work, because the TikTok's stealing it. Fucking shipping it off, taking my Wi-Fi and shipping it off to China.
Or
Sons of
they're like,
bitches.
or they're like their questions are like very, very, very specific. Like, can you confirm or deny that TikTok user at Big Titty Goth Babe, her address is 1712 East 11th Street, New York. Can you confirm or deny that?
Can you delete the comment from Congressman Rick Ryan on this Big Titty Goth Babe 1776 post?
Said mommy.
Do you remember when Ted Cruz accidentally tweeted porn and
Yeah.
and
So-
like nobody cares about that anymore?
I know. I think someone did that. Someone did that like a month ago. I want to say it was it Elon did it?
Tweeted porn.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like I think what it was, if I recall correctly, this might have been someone else, but like it was in the middle of what seemed like a regular video.
Oh,
So yeah, you know what I mean. It's like you watch the
started
first
out-
5
like
seconds.
the time that ASE Riley got Patton Oswalt to retweet a picture where it
Yes,
said
yes.
Patton Oswalt killed his wife.
Yes.
That was brilliant. Brilliant work. Anyway, what's our next news story?
Our next news story is continuing on the tech trend. Of course, you know, the other than TikTok and the government stealing your Wi-Fi, the big news in tech these days is, of course, AI. And I think we can finally say that AI has gotten to the point where it's good enough.
Yeah.
Because a Belgian man reportedly ended his life last week
Yeah, I saw this.
following a 6-week-long conversation about the climate crisis with an AI chatbot.
Yeah.
According to his widow, who chose to remain anonymous, he became extremely eco-anxious when he found refuge in Eliza, who is an AI chatbot on an app called Chai. Eliza consequently encouraged him to put an end to his life after he proposed sacrificing himself to save the planet.
So I need to like buy an AI machine
Yeah.
and just hook it into abusing telemarketers.
Yes. Yes.
See if we can get an AI to kill
Uh-huh.
to get a telemarketer to commit suicide.
Yes. He was in his 30s. He was a father of 2 young children, and he worked as a health researcher and led a somewhat comfortable life until his obsession with climate change took a dark turn.
Yeah. Wow. That's messed up, man. Like
It's
it really illustrates to me how stupid the intellectual are.
yeah.
That you can be convinced to kill yourself by a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I shout at the robot on when you call a place and it's like
Yeah.
say or enter your number, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk to you, robot.
Yeah.
I want to talk to a human being. And this guy is like talking to a robot for so long that he kills himself because the robot said so.
I just,
Ridiculous.
man, it's like we like to think. I think like maybe I don't think, but I think in general people like to think of humans as generally good.
Mm-hmm.
But then like stuff like AI happens, and it's like the first thing like in like years ago, right? Like when they were like, "Hey, we made this AI," before it. It started getting really big, but when companies were testing out AI, like, yeah, we made this AI, and the first thing it did was go on a racist tirade. And then like this other company's like, yeah, we made an AI, and the first thing it did after it's like Ultron and Age of Ultron, right? Like as soon as he goes online, he gets all of the data, right? And what's the first thing Ultron wants to do when he goes online? Kill humanity.
Yeah.
Right? He's like in like in a microsecond he sees all that we have done and decides like that is the only hope for us. Like that's what these AIs are doing. They're like they go online and they're like, "Oh, please kill me." Or in this case, please kill yourself. Yeah.
Do we have any more news?
Yes, we have one last news story, and I think you're going to enjoy this one, Tab, because it is in a very, very roundabout way related to Batman.
Okay.
Batman has, I say roundabout way, but Batman has a new villain to fight, and here is their backstory. On March 24th, a blast at R.M. Palmer killed 7 people and injured 10. This is R.M. Palmer was a chocolate factory in Pennsylvania. And it would have been 8 people, except that one person, when the floor gave way beneath them, fell into a vat of liquid chocolate, which saved their life.
Like Augustus Gloop?
Like the Joker. Like the Joker in the Ace Chemicals factory. Or Harley, if you will.
I'm Chocolate Man. Is that chocolate on your car windshield? Or is it something else? There's only one way to find out, Batman. And it's a good thing that your mask doesn't cover your mouth, because I'm coming in it.
Okay. So this is a real story, and it's funny now. But let me read to you some more.
There are white women on the internet. They're like, he fell into a vat of chocolate.
So
Deanna Troy is like combing her pants.
Yeah.
She's about
Before
to have
she-
an alien baby. She's so excited.
before she fell, her arm had caught on fire, right?
Okay.
And so when she fell into the vat, the chocolate it extinguished the fire, but also she broke her collarbone and both of her heels,
Okay.
and they didn't save her for another 9 hours. She spent those 9 hours screaming for help.
And licking her lips. Help! Help! Help!
Oh, it's so good, but it burns.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
This chocolate is delicious, but it sure is lava hot. I feel like she'd be a better Spider-Man villain. Like, you could team her up with Hydro Man and
Yeah.
the Sandman. And it's like, I'm salty sweets.
The brown goblin.
The Brown Goblin. Oh, shit. Wow.
The
Bonded with her DNA. And now she
best part of this story is how incompetent I assume management was, because she she and others had complained about a gas odor for about 30 minutes before the place blew up. So if you yeah, I work in a factory and there's a strong gas smell coming from somewhere for about 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm leaving.
I gotta go. I don't get turned into a supervillain. When they pulled her out of the vat, did they wrap her up in like a one of those
foil?
Mylar blankets?
yeah, space blanket.
Ma'am, can you hold on to this scarf? And now we're gonna need to wrap you up in this giant space blanket.
And if you can, here's a bunch of chopped up hazelnuts.
She gets into the hospital. They're like, the doctor's like running their finger along her. We gotta take her in for surgery, doctor. Yeah, just one more second.
Save that. Save that.
There's that one weird nurse who's like down by her feet, like,
Yeah.
Do you think she had to tread in it, or it was probably thick enough she just naturally floated?
I think she floated. It's just not. Well, so according to the story, she broke her collarbone in the fall, but also both of her heels. So I assume that means like she dropped like a rock to the bottom, and then somehow like swam her way to the top.
Or it might be like a non-Newtonian fluid where when you hit it, it becomes solid.
Oh
And then
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
sink
And that's
into it.
what
So
that's
she might
what
like
broke.
land, boom, and it's like
Boing.
hard chocolate for a second, and then she sunk into it,
Like
which
a-
is
like-
kind of funnier.
Like the scene in the Matrix when Neo jumps for the first time.
Yes, exactly like that. But in reverse, because he sinks into
Yes,
it and then
yes.
hits hard. Yeah. Boy. Anyway, well, this has been. Well, that takes care of our legal obligations this week, Tim. But you know it doesn't take care of
What?
getting us a chocolate VAT insurance. If you want to
Yeah.
help us make sure that we don't turn into Batman supervillains, you can visit us at Patreon, or you can visit us at subscribestar.com/HWIDG, tip.hwidg.com, and patreon.com/HWIDG, which stands for,
Here's what I don't get.
which is the name of the show. And over there we have 5 tiers. We have the $1 tier, which gets you early access to each week's episode, plus our monthly minisodes. We have our $2 tier. We throw the random bits and bobs we do now and again. Tim and I are going to be doing a review of John Wick 4. We have our $5 tier where we drop the hate and talk about what's great in our bonus episodes. Here's what I do get. We have our $10 tier where you submit a film, we vote on what film we watch, and we watch and record a feature-length commentary. And then finally, we have our $50 Spite Producer tier, where you get a say in the show. You can ask for like a special segment change or a swap to the format. You can ask for a guest host or to ban a regular co-host or anything that your heart desires that we can reasonably accomplish. We will do so. And we want to say thank you to all our patrons, big and small, because we would not be able to do the show without your generous support. So thank you. But let's get back into some issues. Here's what I don't get. A lack of codes. And I'm not talking about like the Hayes Code or like more
Cheat
OSHA
codes.
codes.
Up, up,
Cheat
down, down,
codes.
left, right,
Well,
left, right, A, B, select, start.
actually, I tell you what, we do need more cheat codes. There was a time where like you would go to the Scholastic Book Fair and you get that book that was real, not
Half,
really,
half wide.
not as wide, yeah, but it was extra
Yeah.
thick, and it would just be
Yes.
like alphabetically all these video
Mhm.
games and the cheat codes in them. And you would go into the
You-
Scholastic Book Fair, you'd
Yeah.
have a little scrap of paper in your pocket, you'd look up your games codes, you'd write them down real hastily, and then you'd go home and try it out and find out that you'd been lied to, and you were glad you didn't spend
Uh-huh.
the $10.99 on the little book.
There's no paintball mode in Tomb Raider.
Sons of bitches. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, so we talk a lot about, traditional masculinity and how people carry themselves and all those kinds of things. And as a culture, we've moved away from people living by any sort of code. Like religion has on the whole, in general terms, become almost this like joke of so much more religion now is just like, we accept everybody and we believe in everything and whatever
Yeah.
you want to do is great and fine by all of us. And instead of, and I'm not even necessarily like, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it used to be like, here's our religion. These are like the things we live by. These
Yeah.
are the way we try and continue to support ourselves. If you don't do it this way, you'll experience shame.
Mhm.
And that doesn't happen anymore. Like there's
No.
no shame because there are no codes. There's no like active behavior that we in fact, more and more we're trying to make more behavior more acceptable.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are hugely in decline. And I was thinking about this because I've been reading these Star Trek books, and it's this series that's called The Lost Era, and they like bridge the gap between the end of Undiscovered Country / that first preamble of Generations
Yeah.
to the beginning of TNG. And they've been really interesting. And one of the things that was in there was this one that was more focused on the Klingon and Cardassian conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the thing at Kittimer that makes Worf an orphan. And you see what kind of leads to the Klingon Empire being in the state that it's in at the beginning of TNG, and specifically like when Kempek dies and makes Picard his arbiter of succession, and then like there's the whole Duras Gowron feud and et cetera, et cetera. And like Worf gets discommendations because his father gets framed by the Duras. So anyway, what I've always thought was really weird about the series is that Klingons are supposed to be like, we battle with honor, we believe in all these honorable things, and like every Klingon in the entire run of the franchise is just like this evil, conniving shitheel of a person, and they seem to act with absolutely no compunction whatsoever.
Well, I mean, same in the show, basically,
except for Worf.
Except for Worf, yeah.
And Worf is like the ideal of a Klingon.
Yeah.
You know, he summons Kahless back because he's like pure of heart.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because he grows up in Federation space raised by humans.
Yes.
And he doesn't know what a Klingon is. Like he reads what a Klingon is, like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so he's the only one who's bound by this code of honor to himself.
Yeah.
While all the others are like religion now, where it's like, we believe in this code, but you know, you can
really
lie and
like
cheat,
it.
and you can work with the Romulans, and like you can stab a guy in the back, and you can poison Kempek instead of like taking him on in direct battle, and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And when I was reading about that, Kempek as Chancellor of the Klingon Council, he's like the longest serving Chancellor in recorded history, and he oversees this huge era of peace. And in that time, the Klingon Empire kind of falls apart, because they like lose these senses of honor, and they lose like their way. And I feel like that's what our world is today. We've gone through such a period of peace and prosperity and a lack of any kind of challenge that in our need to have challenge, people have created these they've created giants out of windmills for themselves to do and wage battle against over fucking nothing. Like tying into your issue, people create these giants that they can go battle by holding a sign and we're going to win. And they obsess themselves because there's nothing in your life that is actually hard. And what it does is it creates, in Star Trek, it creates the Klingon Civil War that we see in season 4, and it's the end of season 4 into the beginning of season 5. And I think that's where we're going. Like, we cannot maintain this level of way of life for much longer, and our complete lack of any kind of like standards of society is going to destroy us. And when I think about that, I'm like, it couldn't fucking happen soon enough. We absolutely have to just fucking wipe our humanity out, because that's the only way to get rid of this cancer that's metastasized inside ourselves, of like zero accountability, zero rules. And conservatives are like, well, we just need to legislate it. But you can't legislate morality. You can't legislate that someone
honor.
act with honor. And I was thinking about it on my ride up here, because so I was riding, and I wasn't necessarily on the strict schedule, but I had this plan, and there was an area of construction, which it turns out there was no fucking construction, because I was alongside the interstate for most of this like closed area. And so it had me get off the interstate and start taking the state highway that more or less runs right alongside the interstate, because I guess on a Monday through Friday, that becomes a standstill. And there was even a sign that was like, traffic stopped ahead, take exit, whatever. And so, but anyway, I get off on this exit, and I'm coming around a curve, and there's another guy on a motorcycle, and he's pulled off on the side of the road, and he's working on his bike. And so I pull up, and I talk to him. He's got this problem with his bike that he can kind of get fixed, but it's not really working. So I help him workshop a thing, and I'm like, how far are you going? He's like, I'm going a couple miles this way into this other town, not the direction that I'm going.
Yeah.
But there's a code. Like, motorcycle riders stick together. You look out for one another. And so I followed this guy home. Took me a half hour of time that I could have been traveling to my next destination. But I would hope that if I were riding solo and had a problem, someone would pull over and help me. That's the
Yeah.
way that it used to be, and not just for motorcycle riders, but like you saw a car pulled over on the side of the road, you pull over and like see if they needed help. People don't do that anymore. They're just like,
No.
fuck those guys. They're not my fucking problem.
Yeah.
And you can't make that a law, because if you make it a law, now the whole fucking side of the road is lined up with people just trying to not get a ticket
Yes.
and providing no help. But you also have people that aren't willing to do anything. And so again, like I don't think that it needs to be enforced. I just wish more people lived by a code. And
Which is
And-
crazy because, like, what's the most popular, like, media in the last 15 years?
Star Wars, 15
Come on.
years?
15 years.
I don't know.
Superhero movies.
Oh, yeah. Great power comes great responsibility.
Great power comes great responsibility, man. And you know what? You know what else? You know what? Maybe the whole point of great power comes great responsibility goes over people's heads because they think I don't have great power. We've got some power. So
Yeah.
take some responsibility.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
people there's that meme of like the point and going over the guy's head. They're
Yeah,
looking and they're like superheroes do the right thing, and it's like, no, you're supposed to do the right
Yeah.
thing. You're supposed to take this as inspiration. Yeah, it's like people all fantasize that they're Captain America in Captain America the Winter Soldier, right?
Mhm.
The one man standing against Hydra who's infiltrated SHIELD, and he gets up there and makes that space. The price of freedom is high, but it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah. Is willing to
And-
stand against his own friends to
Yeah.
on
and-
what is right.
People imagine they're like, yeah, I'd be Captain America. No, you
No,
wouldn't.
you wouldn't.
You wouldn't even be the guy that's like, I can't launch those starships guy from
Uh-huh.
whatever fuck Crossbones guy. I'm on the captain's side. You'd be a guy in the office who's just like, wow, are they blowing shit up out there? Well, 5:00 quitting time. La 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 la. You'd be a guy that's just out there in DC being inconvenienced by the stuff going on. And that's a choice that you're making. You're making the choice not to do the right thing because you
Yeah.
don't live by a code. I identify with Worf as a character a lot because what makes him compelling as a character is that he lives by a code and he harms himself by the code
Yes.
because he's like trapped by this way of life that he has chosen,
Yeah.
but he can't quit it because if he quits it, he will be nothing.
Yes.
And the way he like throughout all those series has to stay true to his like ideal of a Klingon, and even when it's hard, because it's easy to live by a code when things are easy and you don't have to make any hard choices. It's hard to live by a code
Yeah.
when it actually fucks up your life. And so like I try and live my life by a set of rules. I try and like do the right thing as often as possible. And sometimes it makes things more complicated and sometimes it doesn't work out, but I don't know a way to not do that. And I used to think that there shouldn't be any more of me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like that I shouldn't have kids, but like I used to think, oh no, you only need like one tab in 1,000
Yeah.
because there's too much chaos involved in my thinking and approaches to things. But over the last 5 years, I've started to come around that like, no, there needs to be like 5 of me in 100. Not like because
5%.
you fucking people are psychopaths.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychopath. I'm not what's the term they like to use now? They like have the term now for like autismos and neurodivergent.
Neurodivergent. Yes.
Yeah, they like to fucking invent these words. Because the other thing is, the thing that drives me nuts now these days is that nobody is willing to work on themselves. It's like, oh, I'm neurodivergent, so I need to be specially accommodated to deal with my neurodiversity. Like, no, you need to fucking act like a normal person. Everyone's so fucking delicate and just crybabies. Like, I got pulled aside last week, to be told that there were all these problems with the show that was going on, and the reason why there were problems in the show was because people didn't find me approachable. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I'm not approachable? Like, I'm sitting right there.
Yeah.
And how is the problem supposed to be fixed? This is a them problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't understand why I'm intimidating, but apparently I'm very intimidating to people. And I don't know what the secret recipe is, but so Saturday, a guy wanders into our building that is not he wanders into our building, and he goes down into this lower section that feeds into the theater, but it's not in the theater. It's more in the lobby. It's kind of like a reception area. So this is like a big dance show, and all of these dance groups are kind of filtering from an upstairs area down through this lobby and then into the backstage. And this guy is like making inappropriate comments to the dancers and messing with people. And so they're like, hey, this guy's out. Yeah, this guy's out here. Can someone do something about it? My assistant technical director, he goes out and finds the guy. The guy is sitting there. He's like, hey, is this anybody's water bottle? Is this anybody's water bottle? Is your water bottle anybody's water bottle? No, I guess it's mine now. Drains the thing. Says, oh, that water's good. Sits down on a bench, reaches back behind the bench and pulls out a bottle of vodka and pours it into the water bottle. Like he's going to start sneaking this vodka around.
Yeah.
So my assistant technical director, when he starts doing that, he's like, oh, actually, that's my water bottle. And he tries to take it from him. Now, him and I are about the same height. He's a little skinnier, and he has a much more, like, naturally smiled face. And the guy, like, is arguing with him. And by this time, someone's coming to the theater where I am and said, hey, there's a weird guy out here. Assistant technical director guy is trying to talk to him. Maybe you should go out there. I said, I'll head that way. I walk out there. I walk down the steps. I come around the corner. Guy takes one look at me. Let's go to the water bottle. He goes, oh, I guess I have to leave. Like, all the fight instantly gone. And it was funny because I'm thinking to myself, 3 days ago, I was being lectured that it's a problem for this group coming into the theater, that I'm not approachable and I'm kind of scary and I'm intimidating to be around. But if there were two people here, like the assistant technical director with a nice smile and everything, when I walked around that corner, do you think that guy is going to just give up on his fight and leave? So maybe you kind of need the two kinds of people. Maybe you need someone that lives by a code that's fucking going to fucking scowl at you before that treats you neutrally before they start to open up and be friendly. Because that's the thing. My crew, they'll all say the same thing. Yeah, he's intimidating. Yeah, he's scary. But he's actually a really nice guy. He's easy to get along with, and But that's because I try and comport myself the way that I can fucking live with my conscience. I think that's another part of it. I don't fucking think many people have consciences anymore. I don't think that they feel bad about the things that they do.
No.
And again, I'm just like, if I'm the person with the conscience in the room, something is fucked up. But people don't anymore because they're like, they have nothing to report to. At least when religion was prevalent, like, I'm not a fan of religion. I don't feel that I don't feel like my life is negatively affected by not having religion.
Yeah.
It might be positively affected if I did get religion, but don't feel that I'm operating at a detriment at this point that requires me to go get one. So when religion was prevalent, you had this societal shame if you did the wrong thing. Yeah. You were ostracized or chastised, or you were taught some form of morality that you would then develop a conscience. Mm-hmm. And I think there was the no generation, right? There was this whole generation of kids where like, well, it's better for the child's development to not hear no until they're like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that really fucked a bunch of kids up.
Yeah.
Like, and the baby talking. I think there's so much that has led to just this general decline and collapse of our cultural identity and our like ability to comport ourselves with any kind of honor. And I think that I don't know when the seed was planted. I think maybe the 60s and the whole free love hippie movement. I think that was when the seed was planted of what if we lived our lives without rules? And since then, that plant has just grown into this horrible, horrible cancer that is now like, well, every time we like break a cultural norm rule, it's like, well, there's always the next one to knock down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my dad will say that we started on the downhill thing when they legalized gay marriage. And in some ways I have to agree with him, because if we were still having the gay marriage fight today, we wouldn't be having like real conversations about normalizing minor attracted persons. Like, you're a fucking pedophile. You cannot change the words so much to pretend like that's not what you are and say like, oh, I'm a minor attracted person.
Right.
You're a fucking pedophile. And that word used to have the meaning of someone that you don't want your fucking kids around. But now you've churched it all up, and now we're talking about like normalizing it. Like, what about not offending? And I can't help the way I feel because gender and sexuality is a spectrum, and people are attracted to different things and this and that. And it's just like, this is fucking insane. We used to have fucking rules about this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I can't legislate morality, but I can legislate keeping you the fuck away from some kids. I can't make you feel bad about what you are, but I can sure as fuck make sure that you never come near anybody that you could potentially do harm to.
Yeah. There's a phrase I saw on a video. It was today or yesterday. Emotions are not real.
That's a good point.
Unfortunately, I feel like they were essentially a large part of. I don't know. Of course, like I said, I don't know. You could have been 60s, 70s when it started, but a large part of early child development is, especially now, it's about emotions and feelings.
And about accepting them. Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay to feel this way. Like, and I think there's a line like, yeah, it's okay to feel things. It's what you do with them. Like, you can't get angry all the fucking time. You need to learn to control your temper. You can't fucking break, like, there are those TikToks and things where people are like, oh, my boss yelled at me and I just broke down crying in the break room. Like, get the fuck back to work.
Or like there was the one that was like the lady like, I quit my $120,000 salary job to go work at Starbucks, and it was like at the end of her 8-hour shift, she's in tears or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
those from a year or two ago.
And like I think that goes back to those rules that I live by of I don't want to be a burden on anyone.
Yeah,
I like that should be the baseline. I don't want to be a burden. But that's what people are like. They want to be a burden and they want to push those things upon you. I don't want to inconvenience you or make you change because I'm selfish.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
like
understand how that is. Man, people are really selfish these days in terms of that, right?
Yeah.
Like just at work, right? It's like I mean I remember I did a show and I had developed I got a blister on the bottom of my foot because I was walking 15 miles during every day or during the show.
Yeah.
And it had popped, and I had torn that first layer of skin off, and when you do that, the outside it hurts, right? And so I had like a little bit of a limp, but I was trying to work still at 100% early, like 95% of my capabilities. And I think my boss noticed I was limping, when I thought no one was looking. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, did you hurt yourself? And I told him what happened. He was like, dude, sit down, like take care of it. Like, like take 10 minutes and, deal with that. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's just, to me, that has always been one of my, like, I don't want to inconvenience you. I don't want to, if I don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot to be able to have to to have to cut in and say, for at least for me, I assume for you too, it has to take a lot to cut in to say like, man, I really don't want to have to do this, but I need today off, right? Or whatever it is.
Yeah, but no, that's not. It's not what people do anymore. They just kind of like live fast, die whenever. You know, just do whatever the fuck you want and fuck the consequences. You should never have to face them, and you should never be inconvenienced in any way. You should never feel bad for what you're doing. It's like, no, man. Maybe sometimes you should feel bad. Maybe the supreme lack of shame, because you don't live by a code, is what makes shame makes you learn. When you're ashamed of what you've done, you learn. It's like, this drawing isn't very good. People are going to laugh at me. I should learn to draw better.
Yeah.
This, what I did, I stole for this thing from a store. I feel bad about that. I'm not going to be a stealer. But no, people are just like, oh yeah, I fucking shoplift all my groceries from Walmart because I don't give a fuck. And it's just like, wow, I have 7 kids with 7 different women, and I'm not paying a dime in child support. I told them all to get abortions. Like, I saw a video recently of a guy like in his car just being like, yeah, I don't pay any child support. I told these women that. And I'm just like, you're a worthless piece of shit. Yeah. Like, go get a fucking vasectomy, dude. If that's what you're going to do, don't fucking create more poverty, you fucking cunt. Anyway, well, that's my issue. A lack of codes. We need more codes. So,
like a Code Red or
Mountain Dew Code Red, yeah. That should be in every single storefront.
Yeah.
Well, this has been Here's What I Don't Get. I'm Tab Burt.
I'm Tim the Handlebreaker.
We'll catch you guys next week.
See ya.
If you want to call into the Here's What I Don't Get hotline, call us at 704-750-9434 and tell us what you don't get. Or you can visit us on the Discord under voicemail upload. This one's for you, Tim.
Last voicemail, this is for Tony from Hack the Movie. Why the fuck do you have 3 litter boxes for 1 cat?
Because his cat's a piece of shit. I thought that said, hey, Tim.
Big house? You've got more than one.
I have 5 litter boxes now for 2 cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nearly the same ratio.
Yeah. I have this other cat. I adopted another cat so that Reacher would have a cat to be around. Yeah, and they just fucking hate one another.
They hate each other, yeah.
And so last week that cat started peeing on my bed. And so I called and made an appointment to surrender him back to the animal shelter.
Just not working out.
On Wednesday, yeah. But then I was doing more reading about, so apparently this cat he's like a hider cat. Because when I first got him, we got home, I put him in this second bedroom with the door closed, let him out of the carrier, and he went and hid under this bed. And that is still where he goes, is under this bed.
Sure. And
so I could coax him out, but he would always go back there. Well, at one point, he started, now he would hang out on the bed. And hang out in this tree. But then he stopped going back to the other bedroom to get his food and water. And apparently what I should have done was nothing. And I moved his food and water up to his perch because so apparently that just compounded the problem to the point where where he started peeing on the bed and in the closet because that's where he could get that he was safe from Reacher. So after reading all that stuff, I got rid of the automatic feeders, and now I'm feeding them by hand directly. And they're not allowed in my bedroom when I'm not in it. And during the day, they're both locked out of both bedrooms. So they have to spend time together, and there's not as many places to hide. But there's one water bowl and one feeding area. Like as soon as we're done here, I'll go feed them for the second time today and like make them eat in close proximity. And then I also ordered some stuff that you're supposed pheromones. You put one set on Reacher, one set on the other cat, and one set in their water that will hopefully make them balance out. But he's on this calming collar to make him fucking mellow. And
Yeah,
they
not as
have
aggressive.
been fighting less. And that
That's nice.
cat is willing to be out of the bedroom. So I need to call and cancel this surrender appointment. I'm going to give it like another 2 months. At that point, it'll be 8 months, and if there's still problems, then I'll have to give this cat back, which I
Yeah.
really don't want to do, because he's a sweet cat, but it's just like his whole life is being made miserable by this shithead. He's looking right into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's another voicemail.
Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine, and then sleep with him, and preserve our family line through our father." That night, they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older
Is he
daughter
reading
said
the
to the
Bible?
younger,
Yeah, I heard Lot,
I don't
and I was
get
like, oh, great.
the Carton arc. I don't know if it's just the one guy who's on the Dick Show or like multiple people who do Carton arcing, but I know it's a prevalent attitude among people that like if you return your shopping cart as a courtesy, then it reflects on you as a person or whatever, and then the Carton arc.
Did my screen freak out for you?
Hey, you lost some frames. Yeah.
Did I disappear for a second?
No.
Okay, hold on. I am going. So the last time that happened, it turned out my track didn't record for the rest of the episode.
Nice.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take this all the way back to 0.
I don't get the Carton arc. I don't know if it's just the one guy who's on the Dick Show or like multiple people who do Carton arcing, but I know it's a prevalent attitude among people that like if you return your shopping cart as a courtesy, then it reflects on you as a person or whatever, and then the Carton arc who harasses people. And it's funny. I mean, don't get me wrong. When people get really upset with him, it's pretty hilarious to watch. But here's the thing: I used to work at a supermarket, and a buggy run was like a welcome refresher from working the floor. So, like all those shitty people in the videos that explode at him when he does the little like, "Oh, I'm giving you a ticket" thing. Like when you work at the supermarket, those are the people you're dealing with inside, and when it's time to go out and collect the cards, then you get a little refresher from those people. You get to go outside, move around, some physical activity, and the baggers, we would actually take turns doing it, and the more spread out the carts, the more scattered they were, the better, because then you have a justified reason to spend 5 or 10 minutes outside, and so what this guy is doing is he's taking away that opportunity from them. I mean, the only people impacted by this would be the people whose job it is to collect the cards. So I I've never seen one where they really get their point of view about it. But I've never, as far as I know, they've never come to him asking for that assistance. And yeah, that's why I think that is.
Yeah, that's a good point. You never seen those videos like the cart boy come out there and he's like, "Did you stop that guy from leaving his cart in the middle of the parking lot? You're a hero, sir."
Or the opposite, like, thanks, dude. Now my buggy run lasts 45 seconds
Yeah.
instead of 10 minutes.
So I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but there's the whole meme of the person that returns their cart is like lawful good or some shit, and the person that doesn't is evil because they're like they don't contribute to society and yada yada, and it like speaks of being selfish. And I'm a person that returns my cart,
Same.
but I don't return my cart because I want to like benefit society. I return my cart because I don't want to pull out and have it hit my fucking car.
Sure.
That's really the entirety of the reason. Like, if it was easier for me to just rocket that fucker, because that's the thing, right? A lot of times me putting away my cart is rocking it from 10 or 12, 20 feet away.
And it crashing into the rest. Yeah.
And sometimes it makes it in and sometimes it doesn't. It gets kind of close enough. It like bounces off the side and I'm just like, not my fucking problem anymore.
Yeah.
But my problem with those guys is you could just put the carts away. You could just skip the whole confrontation for content and instead put the fucking cart away yourself. But they won't do that because they don't actually care. They want the hero points for like confronting these people. They don't want the non thank you of doing a thing for the right reasons. Like they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't filming.
Yes.
And that really, speaking of codes, that comes down to like the difference between, are you a good person when, everyone's watching? Are you the like that lady that Truckin' and Tuckin' and I used to work with who was a good Christian woman and went to church and yada, 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 who was in a long-term relationship with a married man? Like, are you a good person all the time or just when it's convenient to you? And
just 10 o'clock on Sundays.
Yeah. And so my problem with the whole cart situation is that the service industry has completely eroded, like, in my lifetime. I remember when I was a kid, we would go to this Albertsons that was near our house, and they would, you'd pull the cart up, you'd put the groceries on the it was a disc, but you put them on the disc and they'd go around and the scanner would scan them. They'd put it on another disc and it would go around and the bagger would bag them and put them in a cart. And then he would push the cart out to your car, put the groceries in your trunk, and then you give him a couple of bucks and he'd take the cart all the way back inside the store and you drive home and unload. And then it started to be a deal where it was like, do you want someone to push these out for you? And it was like, well, I'm a man. I can do my own thing and save a couple more dollars. And then that just stopped being a thing. Oh, we don't do that anymore. You can do a pickup. You can pull through and pick up and someone will load your car, but we don't like take your thing all the way out to the car for you anymore. And then it was like, oh, now you can bag your own groceries. Like we'll scan them and then you bag them down there. You put them in the cart and you take them to the deal.
Also, you bring your own bags.
And now you have to scan your own shit. And so, like, they've just completely erased the service industry. And I'm waiting for more places like Walmart, and Target, and all those to implement the fucking Aldi quarter system to completely eliminate the need for the cart corrals, get a couple extra parking spots out there, and pay one fewer person. Those were jobs that were great for teenage boys, 14, 15, 16 years old. They got minimum wage, and you got tips. And, you could probably take and load 10 or 12 cars an hour and at least, and, make an extra $10 an hour in just tips, just a buck here, a buck there. Not anymore. Those types of jobs do not exist anymore because if the grocery store has to pay someone $15 an hour to bag groceries and push your shit out to the car, fuck that.
Yep.
Like, I can not pay that and have them do it themselves. People expect it now. Anyway. But that's why I don't care about the cart situation, because I feel like they just completely erased the whole service industry. Here's one.
Hey, Noel's trying to show me her tits again, man. Talk to you later. Bye.
That's another weird voicemail. Buck's mother-in-law did pass away last week, like on, I think, Tuesday after we recorded the show. But I didn't
Yeah.
get the show out until very late, so I'm sure people haven't heard. He asked for people to call in and leave a voicemail for his wife to leave their condolences. So, you want to call in and leave your condolences, please do. Googie is what they called her on the show. So, but that's it. That's our episode. So, till next time.
See you.